Hello, this is Renee and Kent Miller, and we are going to talk today about a section in Chapter 7 of the Augmentation of Man, a Study in Renaissance. And this is about 7 magnitudinal changes. Now, I want to say something real quick here, and that is sometimes we don't understand the difference between some of the words that are being used. And in this case, this is one of those. So are we talking about magnetics in magnitudinal, or are we talking about the magnitude of something? And because this particular section was talking about the electromagnetic field, we put the subtitle as 7 magnitudinal changes, as in magnetics. However, I'm beginning to believe that really the ancient that dictated this really meant magnitude of changes, 7 great big changes. And at the time of this lesson, we were in the 4th stage of these changes. So most people would agree we're going through a lot of changes right now.
Yes.
I mean, it's undeniable, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's beyond our, most 90, probably 98, 99% of the population don't recognize these changes.
Well, we recognize the weather's changing, weather patterns changing.
Many people don't. Many people don't. They just go about their business, or some that are starting to pay attention. So in 2007, we were given the 7 layers of 7 vibrational changes.
Yeah, they had talked about we're in the 4th stage of 7, but that there are a total of 7 larger state changes.
Yeah.
So 7, we're in the 1st of 7, and within that 1st, we're at the 4th of 7. And that 7 brings 7 times 7 brings completeness, and that would be in our level of understanding.
So, and that's really difficult. You got to stop and think about how she just set it out and replay it over and over so you can understand what we're talking about. But the changes are necessary to expand our level of consciousness. And DNA change is really necessary for man to go forward.
And our vibration, everybody talks about our level of vibration, and they want to go higher in their level of vibration. But what does that mean? And that gets down to the expression of our genes and the atoms that make up our genes vibrating at a higher level. But it also directly correlates to our level of understanding, because everything is vibration, including our thoughts, right?
Yeah. So if we're going to translate the section, Chapter 7, you're going to have to do some of your own research. Okay.
We encourage you. We did some research because this gets into the scientific end of it. And we would recommend that you do some research along the line of supernovas and protons, gamma rays. That will help to fill in the gaps that maybe we miss. Okay?
You don't have to do it all at once. You can do a little bit each day and begin to understand how things are put together.
So getting back to the book, and in this particular section in Chapter 7, the guide is talking about regional ionic disturbances of charged atoms within the atmosphere around a given planet generate magnetic changes, which are related to the changes necessary in the vibrational level of all living physical expression. Yeah. So within the ionosphere is where these charged particles are in the atmosphere.
Right, and the imbalance becomes more and more because of the negative leaning charge. Now we're going to define what, this is not the negative leaning that you might be thinking about. This is something a little different.
They're telling us that there's more of a negative vibration coming off of Earth. This does not have to do with our thoughts. This has to do with something that will completely blow your mind, I think, because it did ours.
It's a sound. All the various sounds, whether from music to lawnmowers to the earth sounds, all these sounds.
Heavy machinery,
so
all the vehicles on the road. We are putting out so much sound that they said it's affecting the atomic structure in our atmosphere, causing us to have more electron-based atoms instead of the positive. So we have your electrons are negative, hold a negative charge. And the protons hold a positive charge. The protons are normally found within the nucleus of the atom, and the electron is spinning around the outer side of an atom. And so they're telling us that we've got much more electrons spinning around the atoms than we have the protons that are within the atom. And that is causing the imbalance in negative charge. And that is affecting our atmosphere, tilting it to a negative vibration.
Yeah, so it's very plain to see, according to our mentors, when the balance of charged atoms are changed, the magnetic field also changes.
So the way that works within the electromagnetic field around Earth is that electrons are moving in an energy stream, and as they move, then that creates a magnetic field. So combined, the electrons form an electric field, and the magnetism it creates as it moves creates the magnetic field, and together it's the electromagnetic field.
This could be why our field is actually weakening less and less because of the negative charge.
They said that it is changing our electromagnetic field, and that all of this started from too much noise coming off of our planet.
So eventually, in the cyclic procedure that the planet normally goes through, which is when it flips, it changes its field, it rebalances itself and begins a new spin of particles, which balances the positive and the negative charged particles in that sphere.
So what our mentor has told us is that in order to rebalance this electromagnetic field, that a switching of poles has to occur, and that this goes on with any sphere within the universe, that in order to reinstate balance, a reversal of the electromagnetic field poles is what we're assuming here is what has to occur in order to rebalance the energetic flow and the balance of electrons and protons and our electromagnetic field.
And this is what normally reinstates the natural flow of energy, is the shifting of the fields. You could say the switching of the sides, which is going to eventually come here. We don't know what date or anything, but we might see it in our lifetime.
Oh, yeah, and it may be soon. The scientists are monitoring it. That information is widely available on the internet.
Right. You can do your research and follow it.
Now, the guide goes on to say that all spheres have their own unique living, breathing entity within them, and that within the sphere's subatomic field of light, which is below the subatomic level where things are generated by light, resides the starship, which links all matter, and probably through that all fields. So anyway, the completeness of everything that exists within all of creation is beyond the human level of understanding at this time.
Yeah, but our species, as we understand it now, actually, if we can comprehend what is going on within this earth and what makes up the value of it, the species will will continue and survive. If we don't comprehend this, I don't know what's going to happen to the species.
We have to be moved forward in our own evolution in order that we unintentionally and, ignorantly destroy things on Earth. So ignorantly, I mean that in the true sense of the word, that maybe we know what we're doing, but we are just ignoring it. So, and the other aspect of that is through our own innocence, not understanding certain aspects. So, so this section ends in stating that the non-neutronal atmosphere is overwhelming the vibrational space being held by those people who have a higher vibration, and it's actually causing the disappearance of a lot of the vortexes here on Earth. Yeah. Now, the vortexes are used for
communication
and
understanding.
It's like all events that occur here on Earth in a physical realm go through a vortex to the spiritual realm. And so even that includes anything that happens, but also even our thoughts and our prayers, our aspirations, everything like that goes through this vortex and probably is documented on the other side in the spirit realm, say in the Akashic records, I would assume.
Yeah, well,
that's an assumption.
We don't know. That's an assumption, yeah.
Yeah.
So is the balance in excessive amounts of negatively charged atoms overwhelming the vibrational space? We think it is, causing less vortexes. So from previous lessons, we were told the vortexes allow the passage of various vibrations, including communication, to the physical realm of the spiritual realm. So how ultimately is going to be rebalanced? We don't know when it's going to be balanced, but it will be rebalanced.
Now, this is something to contemplate, because in our own research about supernovas, because we were at one time told that there was going to be a supernova and it was going to pass our way.
This is
and so in
2007, we got that.
Yeah, early on, about 2007, 2008. In 2015, we had documented in our own notes that scientists had discovered and released the information that they had seen a stream of cosmic rays coming toward Earth, and it was coming from our galactic center. And they were kind of puzzled about this whole thing. Now, we were told about the supernova, and cosmic rays, when we do our research, are the remnants of supernovas. So what is a supernova?
Well, it's a star that blows off its outer layer, its outer shell, and throws out into space all the particles, which intersect with the particles in space, which actually changes them somewhat.
It splits those atoms. So as these atoms are colliding with other atoms in space, they are splitting those atoms into subatomic particles. And those subatomic particles, amongst other things, include gamma rays, release of gamma rays, which is a type of radiation, and protons, which are positively charged atoms. So just to tie in some other meditations outside of what was included in this section of the book, we were told by an ancient, which is our spiritual mentor, ancient preceptor, teacher of the Creator, that there would be a proton invasion of the nuclei that was actually going to increase the density of all living matter, and that humanity, in another reading, humanity would become a gamma species.
Now, we got to be careful of these gamma rays coming in, because the protons are going to increase to balance with the electrons, but the gamma can actually damage the DNA. Gamma waves can actually damage the DNA if you get too much.
So is this the event that is meant to rebalance our atmosphere by bringing in a spray of protons that actually penetrate the neutrons and push out lighter particles, which is what we were previously told, and causing the nucleus to become denser, the nuclei having more protons to balance the electrons that are spinning around
so we don't know
the atoms.
Yeah, we don't know
These are things that we are piecing together, and it is something that we encourage you also to research.
Yeah, and you might want to research it. Go to Space Weather, monitor your own field by going to spaceweather.com.
And on the left-hand column, you can see where the cosmic rays coming in, what our radiation level might be through X-ray monitoring, and the
gamma particles, the neutrons.
Yeah, the speed of this is also the rays that are coming off of the sun, so solar rays.
Yeah,
but we can indirectly get an idea of how much we're being affected, because when the sun has a solar event, such as an EMP or a solar wind comes at us, that's going to disrupt our electromagnetic field. And when that happens, all the protons that are in, and gamma rays that are in the ionosphere that are being held there, when the electromagnetic field is disturbed, it showers down on us. So
with that, we recommend that you return back to the book, if you have a book, Augmentation of Man, a Study in Renaissance, and read pages 150, 152 to kind of get a handle on what we were just talking about. Okay, so you can get a better understanding and increase your ability to move forward.
So we believe that this remnants of a supernova is what's going to change our DNA through exposure to gamma rays, but we don't want that to be a huge exposure, because it has a potential of damaging DNA. So limit your time outside, especially when we have solar events. And also, we think that it might be delivering the protons that are needed to balance our atmosphere.
Yeah, and we have to think these waves that come from a supernova somewhere within our own galaxy or within the universe, and the sun waves that come from
they're like acting in conjunction, aren't they?
So we have to pay attention to what's going on. We haven't done this for I don't know how many years, hundreds or thousands of years. Now it's time to pay attention. Okay.
And so peace be with you on your journey. We know this is a little complicated, but we hope that we've tried to make some sense of it. Please subscribe, and we will automatically send you more when we're actually,
time comes.
It'll just be generated to you when we post these videos. And don't forget, sign up for our blog on our website, verdience.com. So the blog goes into more detail sometimes, or most of the time, than these videos.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Have a good day. Bye-bye now.